The 49ers lose big to the Raiders in preseason week 1. It was tough to watch, man. If you watched it, I'm sorry, but we're going to break it down right here on the Wayne Breezie Show. We got all the latest in 49ers news, injuries, reports, all that good stuff. Stick around because you don't want to miss today. Peace.
We so bright that we shining. All we know is the Niners. Red and gold at its finest. We so faithful to the bay. We so bright that we shining. All we know is the Niners. Red and gold at its finest. We so faithful to the bay. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Wayne Breezie. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Wayne Breezie Show. First show after the preseason game, the preseason matchup, which was last night. The 49ers debuted in their first preseason matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. It's still tough saying Las Vegas Raiders. They've been there for a while. I don't know why I'm struggling to get the words Las Vegas out. But yeah, man, it was a tough game to watch. Usually the preseason games for the 49ers are tough to watch, for me at least. I don't expect much, but I still expect them to find a way to be victorious and whatever. It is what it is. But guys, welcome to the show, man. I truly appreciate everybody for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? I got to give a quick shout out to all the members of the Breezie's bunch out there. I see you guys, man. You guys ran here early. Peachy Brown, early. Good afternoon, Breezie and everyone. Let's have a great show. Let's have a great show. Remember, we have another chance this weekend against them Broncos. The last time we played the Broncos, though, I happened to be there. It didn't go in our favor either. Jax Knox is in the building. He says, good morning, Breezie and Faithful. Let's have a great show. What's going on? My man Terrence says, what up, Breezie? BB, fam, all that good stuff. I will check my messages today, I promise. Christy Marie is in the show with the hashtag BB. My man Troy is in the show. Good morning, Breezie. Let's not worry about a preseason game. We gonna be fine with the hashtag BB. All right, my man GA is in here with the hashtag the BB and the CC. John's not even here and he's getting the CC hashtag. I love it. I love it. Support my man John Chapman over there, 49ers Rush. My man Mike Eng is in the building. The one and only Colin is in the building. Tanisha is in the building. Chrissy 1687 in the building. My man Eddie G and the Bulldog. Shout out to all the members of the BBC crew. And check this out, guys. If you're new to the stream, it's the first time watching the show, hit that subscribe button, right? You do it right now. All right, don't even hesitate. Just hit the click to subscribe. Hit the click to subscribe, right? And then you're gonna want to smash that like button. Now, don't break your like button, but when I say smash, use the term figuratively. All right, just hit the like button. That's the little thumbs up. All right, go ahead and do that. And you also can become a member of the actual channel, right? We give away things over here. There's perks and all that good stuff. So if you like it, you can join, okay? All right, and there's all the information right there, all right? You can join the show, boom, 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 boom. Click on that, all right? Subscribe to the podcast as well. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. Make sure you guys go ahead and do that. Leave a review. It's super important that you leave a review. It helps push the podcast up. You know what I'm saying? We talk about trending up. Well, I need the Wayne Breezie Show to be one of the dopest 49er shows that you've ever listened to. All right? So help it trend upwards, all right? You can follow and subscribe on X. I keep saying Twitter because I've been saying Twitter for 35 years, but it's X now. All right, there it is at the Wayne Breezie, as well as on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook, at the Wayne Breezie. Facebook, we just reached 1.3K over this weekend. So thank you guys over there. The Facebook group is growing. The Nitty Gritty group is growing as well. Have fun this weekend, all right? The exclusive content will be back this week on the Patreon. So if you've been a Patreon member and supporting the channel, I appreciate you guys because sometimes the content was coming, but it's hard to give you Patreon content when it's not, anything valid to really talk about. All right. So now we got some validity. We got some substance. We got some content. Now we're going to do some breakdowns over there on the Patreon. So thank y'all so much. It's patreon.com/Wayne Breezie. All right. Make sure you guys check it out. And again, if you like the song Faithful to the Bay, which is currently out on all the musical platforms, make sure you go ahead and check that out, man. It's featuring Travis King, Lake City Fresh. I got people from all over. So we got the East Coast representing. You got kind of like the Mid-East or the Midwest. I don't know where you want to call Pittsburgh. It's just in between. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the West Coast, my man Travis King over there, man. So I appreciate you guys. Check that out, man. You can get it. You can buy it for 99 cents. Or if you subscribe to your streaming services for your music, your Spotify, your Apple Podcasts, whatever, your Apple Music or whatever it is you subscribe to, just make sure you put it and you download it. You know what I'm saying? And put it on the playlist. That'll be super important. Faithful to the Bay, all right? That's how you look at it. That's how you find it up, all right? Listen, we got some new shows that are going to be popping this week. Let me know your fantasy. That's going to be tomorrow, airing tomorrow with the one and only Peachy. The Queen Peach, all right, or it was Princess Peach and Mario. I actually watched that Mario movie. It was I don't know if I liked it, but Peachy will be in the building tomorrow. We're gonna be bringing you guys a brand new fantasy show. If you guys haven't done your fantasy drafts, don't worry. We got you covered, right? We got you covered, all right. So make sure you check that out. It's gonna air tomorrow around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's gonna be fun. I promise you. We're gonna have a blast on that show. I'm excited to bring you some new content. The No Harm No Foul show with the one and only Mike Andrews from Nothing But Niners will be resuming very shortly. We're working out our schedule. We did say at the beginning of the season, technically it's preseason, so we're going to figure that out, and we'll probably bring you at least a show or two this week, all right? So stay tuned for that as well. And some other new shows are going to be coming out. I'll be doing stuff with other content creators. Myself, the R&B show is going to be coming back. If you guys missed that, it's going to be coming back, all that good stuff. So I'm super excited. I got to give a shout out to my man, Jason Hess, man. He's become a member of the YouTube. You get the air horns, bro. You know what time it is. The air horns are in the building. All right. The air horns are in the freaking building. All right. So shout out to my man Jason. Thank you for participating. Like every time I do a show, you're here. I'm hoping you're in great spirits, my brother. But thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. You, my friend, are truly appreciated. All right. My man GA says, yo, waiting for that verse idea. Listen, I have time this week to actually put that together, and so I'm gonna put out a Instagram and a TikTok on how to jump on that verse. And then if you guys are gonna be in California for the Cowboys game, you'll be featured in the music video, so that'll be pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get down to the get down, man. Thank y'all again for tuning in. We got some stuff we're gonna talk on the show. We're gonna open up the phone lines. You know how we do. I want to hear from you. I'm gonna give you a couple of takes, and then you guys can run with it. However you guys see fit, man. That's how we're going to be doing these shows, man. I got a couple of takes I want to talk about. Don't forget to participate in the poll question. Is Trey Lance in the doghouse? Is Trey Lance in the doghouse? All right. Just give your answer in the poll. If you want to speak on it, feel free to put some of your stuff in the chat. If I see it, I'll go ahead and pull it up, all that good stuff. There were a couple of points I wanted to point out in the pressers, the Kyle Shanahan presser as well as the Trey Lance presser. We'll get to that stuff as well on today's episode. All right, let's start, man. Let's start with, there's a report going on. Now, you know I got to hit you with either some news first or some bullshit stuff first, right? Too early to say the bad words. So some stuff going on. So there's a report going on. All right. So I at NFL notified via Twitter. Oops, I said it wrong. Let me correct myself because I don't want to get sued because for some reason it's no longer called Twitter. All right. So at NFL notify via X, John Lynch wanted to draft Justin Fields. So that means Kyle Shanahan, I'm assuming, must have wanted to draft Trey Lance. And remember there was some reports going on saying there was some type of division going on there and things like that, but they hit it pretty well. They pretty much hide their things really well. And so Trey Lance was actually the draft pick that the 49ers, they traded. They traded 2 first-round draft picks and swapped the first-round draft picks. So essentially it was like 3 first-round draft picks to move up to draft Trey Lance with the 3rd pick, the 2020 draft. And so now we're getting Trey Lance, to play some football. But it's interesting how this report is coming out. You know what I'm saying? And John wanted to draft Justin Fields. Now here's my thing, right? Like I think Justin Fields is an elite athlete. Uncle Salty, what's up? I think he's an elite athlete. I will say this. I think he's an elite athlete. Isn't he an elite quarterback? Nah. But the national media, in my opinion, is pumping the hell out of Justin Fields. No pause. No pause. And when I say pumping, I'm at the gym this morning, right? I'm at the gym, and I'm like, when I walk into this gym, I know all the TVs are going to be on, and all they're going to show is the 49ers getting thrashed by the Raiders, right? And that's what it was. And so then I happened to look again at the television, and the question that popped up from, I think it was ESPN, was, is Justin Fields an MVP candidate? And I'm like, wait a minute, man. How's this kid go from looking terrible his rookie year? He was all right his sophomore year. He was more explosive with his legs and doing things. They get him some help. I like the DJ Moore signing. I think they got him some pieces, some weapons. I still don't think they're going to run the ball effectively, but he's a running back. He's going to end up, to me, like Kyler Murray. I feel like that's the lane he's going to end up in. That's just where I feel. Not knocking the kid. I just feel like he's going to go in that lane. I'm not saying he's going to get injured, but if he can remain healthy, Kyler Murray is a pretty dominant kid as far as a quarterback. I think he's a little dynamic, and things like that. I feel like that's the justification. But just to throw the MVP stuff out there, I still think is premature. But that's what the national media is doing. On the opposite end, we're getting some national media attention. The 49ers are getting national media attention because now every report is coming out. And I'm sitting here reading the reports. Now, I didn't put anything out, but trust me, my reels will be coming out directly after this show. I can promise you that. But I'm sitting here looking at these reports, all right? And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. So Dan Orlovsky is talking. He's on the Pat McAfee show. And like you could take Dan's takes with a grain of salt because he wasn't a good quarterback in the NFL. Matter of fact, the last time we heard from Dan Orlovsky, the last time we heard from him was when Jimmy Garoppolo stepped out of the end zone in the Denver game. How ironic is it that Dan Orlovsky comes out of the grave and he's going to speak on he has his takes on Trey Lance, which everybody, in my opinion, can give their opinions. Everybody has a perspective. I have a perspective. You have a perspective. Darren Orlovsky has a perspective. And so this is what he said on the Get Up this morning, all right? He says, I don't think Trey Lance can play in Kyle Shanahan's offense. I've seen enough. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I disagree with him. Because if you watched the show last night, what did I say? I said Trey Lance doesn't fit. I said the only way Trey Lance will be good with this team is if Kyle Shanahan lets Trey be Trey. That's it. That means Kyle will have to take his offense and switch it up for Trey Lance. That's the only way. That's the only way. Trey Lance, I'm not saying he doesn't have the ability, but Kyle Shanahan is a systematic quarterback. He runs a system, and if you can't work within that system, right, you're going to stand out like a sore thumb. We're going to recap this Raiders game. We're going to go through Trey Lance's snaps and things like that. But my point is, this is actually a take from Dan Orlovsky that I agree with. Actually a take that I agree with. Dan Orlovsky, again, all right, and it's just a take. Everybody's gonna come out with their takes, and they're by right they can. All right, Dan O take is Trey Lance doesn't fit. Now you've heard that from Breezie over and over again, and I've been trying to make him fit, and there's nothing we could do about it unless Trey Lance finds a way to fit the system. Can he fit the system? That's the question. The title of today's show is, will Trey Lance get another chance with the 49ers? Like, will he get an opportunity to show that he could fit the system? It's preseason. I think he's going to get as many opportunities as he's given. But then he has to make the best of those opportunities. I'm not trying to show any favoritism toward Trey Lance. I'm not trying to make any excuses for Trey Lance. Remember, I also said when Trey Lance gets the opportunity, he has to go out there and do the damn thing. Like, if you're going to talk about me out there, make sure you give all the takes that I say, not just the last one or the one before that, because you got to put them together. And when you put them together, you're going to get a fucking story. So make sure sorry, too early. You're going to get a story, okay? My story is long because everything keeps changing. The variables change. So then things in the story are going to change. When you look at Trey Lance, you're saying to myself, he has the physical makeup to play quarterback. He has the attributes to play quarterback. But in this system, can he play quarterback? That's really the question. I'm going to talk about my takes in a little bit. But Dan Orlovsky, he said that, and I was just like, I've seen enough. Have you seen enough? I haven't seen enough. I need more. I need way more. I need Trey Lance to play this whole preseason with no monkeys, no weight on his shoulder. I just need him to go out there and play. That's it. Because that's the only way we're going to get a good, proper evaluation. And you got to factor in the context, all right? So Dano's take is Trey Lance doesn't fit and that he's seen enough. Now, he also spoke on the Pat McAfee show as well. I'm going to get on that. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Wait. I got to see. JM16 says, Trey was Trey last night, Breezy. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. No, Trey wasn't Trey last night. You were asking Trey to fit a system that I just don't think he fits in. So that is the results. Those are the results you're going to get. Unless see, like, there it is, right? There it is. What up, Terradome? There it is. That's, to me, I always got to revert, and I know people don't like this, but I always got to go back to being a great educator. Like, if you're going to be one of the greats, then you can't be selfish, right? It's not about you. At the end of the day, if your pupil shines, that means whatever you did to get that pupil to the point to where that pupil can stand out and make a name for themselves, it's a part of you. But that's not how my head coach works. I feel like he has to be the one to be right. And this show is not about Kyle Shanahan. We'll have plenty of time to talk about him. But at the end of the day, he's narcissistic, and you can kind of tell, like, is this a setup? Is this not a setup? What is really going on behind the closed doors? Is Trey Lance in this so-called Kyle Shanahan dog? There is a doghouse. There is a doghouse. If you don't ask Brandon Ayuk about the doghouse, there's a doghouse. So let's not act like there isn't one. Let's stay consistent. Players end up in it. We didn't think Brandon Ayuk was in the. How many defended Brandon Ayuk not being in the doghouse until at some point you just said it doesn't make sense? He's the best wide receiver on the team, according to everybody out there, and he's not being utilized. He did something. I'm not saying that he's in the doghouse. I'm just saying there's a possibility that that's an option. Keep that option open. Please keep that option open. Let's recap what happened, though, because that's why we're having this conversation about Trey Lance and does he get another chance and all this type of stuff. Now, if you guys been sleeping under a rock somewhere, the 49ers lost to the Raiders 34-7. 34-7. It's not Trey Lance's fault. Overall, as a team, they just didn't motherfreaking show up. I want to go over these team stats. They didn't show up, all right? And the 49ers typically lose games when what? When do the 49ers lose games? I know y'all know, but if you don't worry, I'll remind you. 49ers lose games when they throw the ball more than they run the ball. That is the perfect equation for them to lose games. They threw the ball 31 times and ran the ball 23 times. They will never win games. It is super rare that the 49ers win games when they run the ball less. Now, let's add some context because the 49ers trailed this whole game. So you're typically, when you're trailing, you're going to run the ball a lot less than you're going to throw it. But they came out throwing. And That's part of my point. They came out throwing, right? They came out throwing. Now, I will say that overall, the team, in my opinion, just didn't look good. Like they didn't look good at all. They looked like they were lost. They didn't have the energy. The defense, when those starters aren't out there, is a different swag. You can tell that there were young players on the defense, and then even with the veteran players, you know what was pissing me off? Like the vets that aren't starters, but they've been on the squad for a long time, they were still making some of the same rookie mistakes. Matter of fact, rookies made less mistakes than some of the veterans out there. I'm not going to call any names out. Just an overall glance of the game. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. We got a lot of people watching the show right now. Make sure all 150 plus of y'all hit that like button real quick. Back to the recap. So I'm sitting here watching this game wherever I am. Mind you, I can't watch the game like everybody else regularly because Breezie works. So I'm always working, right? I'm doing a gig. It was somebody's birthday party. Felt bad. Didn't really care about the birthday party because the game was on. I cared about it until 4 o'clock. That's how it was. 4 to 4:30. I was done at 4:30. Then 30 minutes. I feel sorry for the person's birthday because I saw sack after sack after sack. That's what I saw. I was just like, what the hell? So, like, recapping the game, I had to go back and rewatch it, obviously, so I could sit down. And I actually took some notes because I wanted to go over, and if I'm focusing on Trey Lance here because he's getting all the attention. He's getting all the bad juju. And I get it. He didn't play up to expectations. I don't think that he was bad. I just don't think he played up to everybody's expectations. I think some of the things he did was bad. I think some of his traits or his reactions to things were bad. Overall, you can't tell me going 10 for 15 with 112 yards and the TD is bad. Now, if you want to talk about the context of the stuff, let's do it. Because I looked at I looked at that TD throw over 100 times. I got Trey Lance making 2 bad throws. I know he had 5 incompletions, but 2 bad throws. And those 2 bad throws to me were the ones that should have been interceptions. And I know a lot of people said should have been. Let's talk about the shoulda, woulda, coulda, but it didn't happen. Remember that? If we're going to use that statement, that's a true statement. It should have been an interception, but guess what? It wasn't. So we lived to fight another day. And in that particular play, the man with the best hands on the team caught a touchdown. Why? Because he was focused. His name is Ross the Boss Dwelly. He was focused. That's what happens when you're tuned in. You're just aware of the situation. It was a bad throw to me. I don't know if it was a bad throw. To me, it was more of like I don't think it was a bad throw. It was a bad read. I take that back. He had 2 bad reads. All right. He might have had some missed throws that were bad, but he had 2 bad reads. According to the stats, he had 5 incompleted passes. All right. So maybe 3 of his passes were bad or whatever, but those 2 reads were pretty bad. He threw into a tight window. Had Mose was on with us with Nitty Gritty last night, and he spoke about how he liked the fact that Trey Lance took that opportunity to do it. And it's funny that he came on and defended Trey Lance and taking the opportunity when I'm like, Mose, throw the ball out of the end zone. You don't want to give an opportunity for the defense to get an interception. Then he went into the mental aspect of the game, getting the mental rep. Hey, I couldn't fit it into the window in that game, but I bet you I could do it now. I bet you now I'm confident. Like, I needed to put more on the ball. I needed to do this. I needed to get it out of my hand quick. Whatever it is he needed to do, he had to go through that mental rep. And from there, you know what I'm saying? It's a learning experience. But I tell you what, the funny thing was, it wasn't an interception. It was actually a touchdown. Like, at the end of the day, why are we not celebrating the touchdown? How the fuck are we not celebrating the touchdown? Like, that's what I don't get from us. Like, we're criticizing this kid. We're crucifying him because it was a bad throw. And at the end of the day, it was still a touchdown. And sometimes you need your playmakers to make plays. Isn't that what they get paid to do? Make plays. Name a quarterback in the NFL where every throw had to be pinned motherfucking point on the dot. We could start with Joe Montana and we could start with freaking Steve Young because they're former 49er quarterbacks. The throw to Dwight Clark wasn't a good throw. It was a throw to where Dwight Clark can go and get the pass, but it wasn't like an accurate pass. He made a motherfucking play on the ball. Let's just keep it consistent. That's our problem. Keep it consistent. This is not the show for this. That's nitty gritty. I forgot this is the Wayne Breezie show. I got to reel it in just a little bit, just a tad bit. If I'm missing comments, cool. My bad. I'm on a little rant right now. Anyway, the recap was what it was. The Niners got their tails whipped as usual. First play, sack. All right. Was it Trey Lance's fault? Could have been. Don't have the all 22 yet. Going off of the films, kind of hard to see the angle and who he was literally targeted on. All right. And we also don't know the context. Maybe Kyle told him to do something, whatever. Anyway, there was pressure in his face. And let me remind everybody, Trey Lance was pressured 9 times. 9. Sacked 4. 9 times, sacked 4. So regardless of what he did with the ball, he was pressured. Can we agree to that at least? Can we at least agree to the fact that there was just pressure in his face? I will say this. Sam Darnold was pressured too, but not as much. And I don't even think Brandon Allen saw one pressure. I know he did, but I don't think he didn't. Rick Diaz says the offensive line did not protect the quarterback. Not when Trey Lance was in there. I didn't see it. I didn't see the urgency to protect Trey. So if we're gonna talk about him with the padded passes and whatever, Trey has to be better at trusting to place the ball where it needs to be and his receiver getting there. That to me is on Trey Lance. If I'm supposed to make this read and throw the ball there, then receiver motherfreaker, you better be there because the ball's gonna be there. I tell you what, that's what I liked about Jimmy Garoppolo. But Trey, 23 years old, not enough experience. Not enough reps. Does Trey Lance need to be better? Fuck yeah. It's not good. That wasn't good. Wasn't a good performance. 10 for 15. We don't. And then here's the thing, right? We still don't know how it would have ended up because that was just the first half. He seemed to be cooking. And I will say, if Jordan Mason gets the first down on that 4th and 2, we might be talking about a different game. You might not be talking about how bad Trey Lance looked because he finished well. Hey, isn't it? Doesn't the saying go, it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish? We pick and choose when we use these cliches. I swear to goodness. Not an excuse. I don't want people to feel like I'm giving an excuse. That's not what I'm doing, my man Jerry. It's not an excuse. But I tell you what, I will say this. I will be the same Breezie for every quarterback. If Brock Purdy, and I'm not saying that he will, but if Brock Purdy goes out there and looks like crap, okay? Yeah. And I hear one rust comment, I will fucking come for you. I promise you, I will come for you. UPS, FedEx, USPS, DHL, what other courier service they need, I will come. I promise I will come for you. You know why? Because I don't get it. I don't get why he gets the chance to knock off the rust. And I don't even want to talk about Brock on this episode because Brock didn't play. So he's no relevance to this. But there's always going to be that comparison because he's our quarterback 1, right? I get it. I'm cool with that. But my point is, I better hear the same shit of no excuses. Okay? That's all I'm asking. Give me the same stuff of no excuses. That's it. That's all I'm asking. You be consistent with that. I promise I'll still come for you, but I'll give you a motherfucking high five and maybe a Wayne Breezie patch. All right? You're going to get something from me as long as you remain consistent. All I'm asking for is consistency. Now, tell me how I'm sounding biased, Bomber T. Put it in the chat because all I asked you to do was come with no excuses. You told me not to come with any excuses, and I'm asking you not to come with any excuses and I didn't say that was going to happen with Brock. I said if it happened with Brock, meaning that there's a possibility that Brock comes out and lights the motherfucking team on fire. Which is what I want. So I want to know how I'm sounding biased because I want to make sure I don't want to be biased. I don't want to lean toward one way, but I can't talk about Brock Purdy if he didn't play. Oh, I like this. No. I didn't say that. See? I misinterpreted every single time. I never said that Purdy couldn't have a bad game. I said, don't give me no motherfucking excuses of him having a bad game. If he has a bad game, let's talk about him having a bad game. Is everybody understanding what I'm trying to say? Are we on the same page? Because I'm about to open up the phone lines because I need to hear what y'all really want to talk about. Like, I need to hear this because I just want y'all to understand that I never said that Purdy can't have a bad game. I'm sorry, Bomber T. I'm not even coming at you, bro. I'm just saying, like, I never said that he couldn't have a bad game. I'm just saying, miss me with the excuses. Because if we can't have excuses for one, then we shouldn't have excuses, period. That's all I'm saying. That's it. It's simple. Like, just be consistent. We've been so inconsistent, and it's not our fault. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's not our fault of inconsistencies. This is how our organization has set the fan base up, and we just got to go out there and take everything with a grain of freaking salt. Everything. All right, look, I'm seeing some comments. I like this. This is what I need. I need some kickback. My man Chris, hard lick, all right, says Brock just came back a couple of weeks ago. I'm honestly expecting him to be rusty. Why am I disappointed? Why I'm disappointed Trey didn't show out. So why couldn't Trey come back being rusty? He hasn't played in a regular season game. He hasn't played with the same type of stuff either. Matter of fact, Brock was closer. Brock played more football again than Trey Lance. Trey Lance had to sit out after week 2. So he was longer away from the game. So help me understand that. Help me. Why can't Trey be rusty? Just curious. It doesn't matter if he's been throwing. Throwing don't mean shit. I could throw. You want to go play catch crypto? Let me know where you are. I'll come. I got a plane pass. I'll come out there. We could throw the ball all damn day. You run routes, I throw the ball. What happens when you got 11 defenders on you now? It changes the game. Practice and real life game is two different things. Practice is supposed to make you prepare for real life game, but the Niners don't know what the motherfucking Raiders defense is going to do. Like, you can't. It sounds like an excuse, but it's not. I'm just saying, just because he's been throwing means his arm is looser. But at the end of the day, if Brock Purdy's if any quarterback is getting that pressure in their face, how is it that you expect them to be accurate? I don't expect Brock Purdy to go out there and light the team on fire. I don't. I don't expect that. But what I do expect him to do is make the plays. Make the right plays. Will he? I don't know. How do we get on Brock anyway? We talk about Trey Lance and will he get another chance? Brock's got the damn chance. Brock is quarterback number 1. He earned it. Bam. I said it again. I've been saying that for the longest. He showed me what he could do. He showed me what he can do under duress. He showed me that he can consistently win games. He showed me everything. I'm cool with that. My issue is it just looks different when Trey Lance is out there. And it ain't just Trey. It just looked different. I can't explain that furthermore. Sounds like I'm ranting. I hate that shit. I can't explain it furthermore. It just looked different. I'll leave it at that. It looked different. Okay? It looked different. My man Colin, I gotta find your comment. You said something cool. Peachy pointed it out. If Patrick Mahomes throws a bad pass, but ball completed, it's called Magic Mahomes. All right, so let's talk about that one play that broke a play that broke down. Colin, I don't know if it's I gotta find it, but I'm reading it. All right. Shout out to Peachy for keeping me going. And then the super chats. You guys got super chats out there. I promise I'm gonna get to those. All right. So don't think I'm missing your super chats. All right. So check this out. Colin says, if Patrick Mahomes throws a bad pass, the ball, a bad ball, but completed, it's called Magic Mahomes. How come we not highlighting that one pass that Trey Lance did that looked Mahomes-esque? Why does that get overworked? It was a scramble play because there was pressure. He had to get out of the pocket. We want Trey Lance to be this pocket quarterback when the pocket's collapsing on him so quick. He had to get out of the pocket. He rolls out. He looks like he's about to take off and run before the line of scrimmage. He jumps and throws an ugly-ass shovel dish under whatever pass that was caught and for a big game. I just feel like there's so many agendas against this young man. And and I get it's because of the capital that we gave up to get him, but when do you let that go? Like, when do we let the capital part? Does that ever get let? Maybe it never goes away. And maybe that's the main issue, because I'm like, yo, that was like forever ago, man. That capital is gone. Like, who cares? Like, we've moved on. So let's move on from the capital. Like, at this point, like, we ain't gonna get it back. Like, you're not gonna get what you spent on Trey Lance back. Period. It's just not happening. So I'm over the capital part. I just and then here's the thing. How do you expect this kid? How do you expect him to develop? How does Trey Lance develop if he's not playing with the best of the best? I mean, can he look good with the second string? Yeah, in practice. Of course. They're playing against the Niners defense. Niners defense ain't trying to kill their own players. They ain't trying to take their own players out, get extra hits, little jabs in the jet. No. So practice, yeah, you'll see them make a play. But remember all those would-be sacks we talked about that I hated? Because I'm like, well, how do we know it'll be a sack? Well, I swear in this game, those would-be sacks were sacks. The Niners struggled against the Raiders in practice. They struggled against the Raiders in practice. They really did. Smitty! Love the avatar. Breezie, I've been said that. Y'all still crying about what we gave up. We have a starting quarterback with Smitty. It's not that. You're right. You know what? Here's the ding ding. Pause. You're right. But the reason why the crying is going on, you know what? I can't explain it. But let me just add to this. We don't have just a starting quarterback. I feel like we have 3 quarterbacks that can start for the San Francisco 49ers. And to me, I said that I think the Niners have a great quarterbacks room. God forbid they end up in that situation that they were in. Let's just say it happens again, and it only happens to the San Francisco 49ers. I'm just saying that's good to know that the Niners have a good quarterbacks room where every quarterback has starting experience. Every quarterback. Brandon Allen, I'm not sure if he started a game or whatever or whatnot, but I will say that every quarterback. But here's what makes the quarterback situation kind of like, stand out. Trey Lance this year is going to make $9 million. $9 million, okay? $9 million this particular upcoming season. And I'm going to get to the other quarterbacks because that's to me, like, where, let me see if their money is in order. Yes, it is. All right. Now, according to Spot Rack, I'm on Spot Rack right now. I'm looking at Trey Lance salary, $9 million. So he's getting paid the most. He was the top draft pick for the 49ers. So obviously he's going to get paid the most. That's how the game works, guys. Let's not act like we trying to reinvent the wheel of the salary cap. When you get drafted as a top pick, ask me why Nick Bosa ain't signed yet, which is what we really should be fucking talking about. But we're not going to talk about that because he's Nick Bosa. But when it comes to the quarterback situation, the room is relatively cheap, bro. And that's what makes us, I'm trying to get Brock's salary. I know it's cheap. So his Brock's salary is so cheap. Here it is. No. 870,000, but only 19,000 of that goes against the cap. This is ridiculous, right? And I didn't even get to Sam Darnold, and I'm looking for him right now. My point is the Niners aren't even spending. All right, Sam Darnold's at $5 million. Which is what his cap hit is going to be this year. All right. So my point is the Niners aren't even spending close to $20 million on 3 QBs. Like, that to me is impressive. And then next year is even different, right? And so when you look at that, you're saying to yourself, okay, cool. Now we could continue to, like, bring these players in. Show of hands if you want Brandon Ayuk on this roster next year. Well, my hand's going to be up. Now, why will we pay Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel? Well, because we can. Because the quarterback's room is so inexpensive. They're not spending $20 million, $30 million, $40 million on a quarterback per year because they're not there yet. We don't know what Brock's going to end up being. We don't know what Trey Lance is going to end up being, but we do have some history of Sam Darnold, but there's a 1-year deal. If he shows up and shows out and gets the opportunity to prove himself, if he, gets in the game or whatever, the Niners, they have the option of bringing him back, but he's probably going to price himself out of here in San Francisco anyway. So at the end of the day, next year, the room is still cheap. Brock is probably less money. Trey Lance might be a little bit more. I could look into it. I don't really want to. I hate talking about cap stuff without my man Jason on the show. But my point is, the room is cheap, y'all. So we just got to kind of chillax with this whole quarterback stuff and just get out there. And whoever's out there, we just pump them up. Now, this game was Trey Lance and Sam Darnold and Brandon Allen. There was no Brock Purdy. So I feel like he's irrelevant to even really be talking about. But we do know moving forward, we do know at the beginning of the season, if he remains healthy, that's the caveat. Brock Purdy is the guy that's going to go. Trey Lance, first series, sack, completion, sack. He was sacked twice on the first series in this particular game. All right. I don't have the person that gave up the pressure on the first sack, but I know it was Nick Zakelj on the second sack. We had to punt. Second series. And mind you, pass. Keep in mind, keep in mind that was the sequence. Pass. First one was a pass, sack. Second was completion to Dwelly. Third one was a pass, sack. Second series. Finally, we get a run in here. Okay. First and 10, you get the run, TDP +3. Second was a pass. All right. The third was a incomplete pass. And guess what? There was pressure up the middle. Trey Lance ended up missing Charlie Warner on that one. Third series, first and 10, pass to Chris Conley in the flat. Second and 4, run, pitch to TDP to the right for a big gain too. First and 10, completed pass to Willie Snead for +13. That was the Mahomes-esque pass. Remember that? The flippity flip. He jumped and did it, so it was cool, right? And then you get to first and goal. On first and goal, he took the shot in the end zone. It felt like Trey Lance said, "Hey man, I'm here. F it, give it to me, baby." He was on his Rick James-ish. It ended up being a touchdown. I understand it was a bad throw. His fourth series, he comes out there first and 10, sack, protection. That's what I got in my notes. It just broke down so fast, right? I think that was the one he was chased down. Second and 15, he completed a pass, all right? Third and 10, completed a pass. Chris Conley, first down. Now they get the run back going. See what I'm saying? It was just weird. It was just super weird, all right? The Trey Lance sequence. First and 10, run to Mason. Second and 5, incomplete pass to Mason. Mason, you have to catch that. It was a running back screen. It was perfect. It was you and blockers. You catch that ball, Mason. See how I'm giving Mason the same shit? Like it's not, I'm when players don't play well, I'm consistent with it, right? At least I think I am, okay? At least I think I am. I hope I'm not frozen out there. I feel like I'm frozen. Anyway, boom. You get that. Bam. All right. That was a drop. Now it's 3rd and 5. Mason gets +3 yards on that. Now it's 4th and 2. 4th and 2. 49ers choose to go for it. It is what it is. All right. 4th and 2. The 49ers choose to go for it. I'm not mad. Not mad that Kyle Shanahan, it's preseason. I wouldn't be surprised if he is a little bit more aggressive during the regular season. You got Jordan Mason, who in my opinion could get you 2 yards. But it was the fact that if you watch that particular play, I just felt like Fumagalli didn't hit the end. He went in motion and he took on the linebacker, which was furthest away, and he didn't chip the defensive end. So when Mason got the ball, the defensive end was literally just sitting there. Literally just waiting. Oh, you're not going to block me? Cool, bam, bam. Cool, makes the play, gets the tackle in the backfield. They don't get the first down. It's a turnover on downs. That was it. All right, that was it. To me, that's what I got from Trey Lance. I don't feel like it was bad, but it damn sure wasn't good. That's how I feel. Will he get another chance? That's to be determined. Word on the street is they're gonna switch it up against the Broncos. Sam Darnold finished 5 for 8, 84 yards, no touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Word on the street is he might be the one that's going to actually be the starter in this game, and he's going to be the one that's going to get more reps. And then Trey Lance will probably split with him and Brandon Allen. Again, that doesn't help Trey Lance. It just doesn't. This kid needs reps, man. Bam, bam. What's going on, fam? Love the hat too, bro. Since Kyle Shanahan was not unhappy with Trey Lance. Ooh, see, I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this, but I'm glad you're saying this. I think Kyle Shanahan did what he did purposely, but not in a bad way. Oh my gosh, were you with me when I was at the gym somehow? Was you in the gym? Because I was talking loud about it. Stay away from my takes, Bam Bam. And Kyle gets on my nerves, but having him run the basic offense was necessary. I'm going to leave this where it is. I don't want to interject my take or my opinion off of what you said, but I tell you what, you'll get one of these. All right? So, bam, look, that was the game. That was the recap. The Niners game was close, 7-7. You know, it was what, 14-7 at the half. I thought the Niners, it was just what it was. And at the end of the day, like, Sam Darnold had a great throw in this game. I don't want to take away from what Sam Darnold did, but he's another one of the quarterbacks. Ronnie Bell had an amazing catch. I thought the catch was better than the throw, but at the end of the day, man, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Niners get thrashed by the Raiders. I hate losing to the Raiders, just like I hate losing to the Cowboys. Actually, I don't like for our team to lose, period. You know, I kind of wish the game was a little bit closer, but, you know, Bam Bam said something important. He said, you know, Kyle was being Kyle. He was probably specifically working on something. Leave it at that. Smitty says we got whooped. We did. We did. Good news is no injuries. We came out of the game unscathed. None of the starters played. I do have a couple of players I want to talk about that's trending. I'll get into my takes and then I'll open up the phone lines. All right. So we'll get a couple of people on here to talk about the, talk they talk. All right. So players trending up. 2 players in this game, Ronnie Bell and Deshaun Jameson. Which is funny because I feel like they're battling for the same roster spot. So it's interesting how those 2 players, offensively and defensively, showed up and showed out. It's so weird. Like, they're literally battling for a roster spot, all right? Ronnie Bell, in my opinion, did some damn things, all right? How do I know? Because Kyle Shanahan spoke about it. You like to hear it? And here it goes.
I thought they did a good job. I mean, we had a number of guys, and so we want to put some pressure on those guys, play them a little bit more than you do in a preseason game, especially Ronnie Bell, Tate Martin getting all that playing time. Thought they did a good job. I mean, Tate made almost a hell of a play, didn't get his feet in bounds, and thought Ronnie did some really good things. In the return game, had that good jet sweep, made some good passes. His best route was the one he served up to him on the pick, so that was unfortunate, but I thought those guys did show some good things.
First and foremost, I want to say, Ronnie Bell, met you at the Senior Bowl. You're one of my favorite players. I got to watch you at Michigan. Shout out to you. But listen, you got to catch the damn ball, kid. You didn't even have to jump. Just catch the ball. Man, that would have been a big first down. Shout out to Brandon Allen because that was his best throw that I've ever seen. It's a great throw. Man, tough, right? Because he misses the pass, gives up the interception, and then the offense just can't tackle, and the dude is at the 1-yard line. Now, Danny Gray didn't play in this game. I think you'll get a little bit more of him next week. We'll see how he practices. We'll see if there's an injury. We'll see if anything, pops up on the take as they hit practice. But I will say Ronnie Bell is trending up. He talked about Tate Martin in that clip. Those are 2 wide receivers that we have to talk about, period. Like, we have to talk about them, period. They're trending upwards. Deshaun Jameson looked really good on special teams. He did. It's unfortunate that his plays got called back due to penalties on special teams. Special teams needs work. A lot of new players out there, I will say that. But actually, those are the 3 players that I feel like were trending upward. I felt like linebacking. I felt like Jalen Graham is trending upward, as well as Marcelino McCreary Ball. So just keep your eyes on those players. Did I name 4 or 5? I think I named 5 players. I'm glad because I'm going to turn that into something. So if you guys can remind me, 5 players trending upwards. They were 2 wide receivers and 3 defensive players. So we got Ronnie Bell, number 1. You got Tay Martin, number 2. You got Deshaun Jameson, the cornerback, number 3. You got 2 linebackers in Jalen Graham and Marcelino McCreary Ball. Don't let me forget that, please, because I'm sure I'm going to forget it. All right, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and open up the lines, man. I hope you guys are cool out there. Listen, I think 49ers, Young Junk, excellent observation. Isaiah Winstead did look pretty good. The wide receiver, remember I kept telling y'all to watch the wide receiver room? No one, does anybody pay me? You guys watch the show. Let me ask you this question. Side note, number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, do y'all just watch the show to join the chat? It's okay if you do. I'm just curious because I don't think none of y'all Mickey figures pay me any attention. I kept saying, watch the goddamn wide receiver room. It is different. Because if you think for a second that Chris Conley ain't making this roster, good luck. Because he is the go-to guy, especially for Trey Lance. He's that veteran. Now, I feel like they can work the vet. It's going to be interesting. I don't even want to talk about Willie Snead, great 1765. I feel like, the young kid just needs to get out there and shake the skeletons, whatever it is going on with him, because he struggles with catching the ball in practice. And then all of a sudden he catches a great pass, makes a run, and next thing you know, the ball pops out. So it is what it is. And Maui, you got a couple of things that you talked about. Ambry Thomas was in my top 5. It's actually in my notes too. See what happens when you do stuff on the fly? See? So I have Ambry Thomas. How about Ross Dwelly trending upwards? No one's going to say Ross Dwelly? Okay, I'll talk about Dwelly myself. Let me just talk about Ross Dwelly because this guy gets zero love from the fan base. I don't know why. He got the best damn hands on the team. He was targeted 4 times, 3 receptions, 18 yards with the TD. Mind you, that TD was a concentration TD. What do I mean? Look, the ball was tipped by a defender, and man, was he watching it. You know how you're not supposed to get caught looking around? You're supposed to just always be ready, like be prepared, whatever. He was prepared. He was the prepared player in this game. You know what I'm saying? When it came to making that TD. Put up the only 49er points, and it wasn't even scripted. It was off script. I don't know. There's no way Cameron Latou makes this roster over Ross Dwelly. If he does, it's because of the game. It's because of the way you can utilize the veterans on the practice squad, and you're praying. It's a dangerous game. You're praying, my friends. You're praying that no one picks him up. After that touchdown, I guarantee you, he gonna get some damn calls. And for y'all that talk shit about Ambry Thomas, okay, I'm gonna need y'all to stop. I know it was a meaningful game, but if we're gonna give Trey Lance and talk bad about Trey Lance, well, let's talk good about Ambry Thomas in a meaningful game. A meaningless game, game that didn't really matter to just all evaluation, right? The game didn't mean anything, so my apologies. Meaningless. We crucified Trey, but we won't big up Ambry. He had 1 penalty that was bad that led to a score, if I'm not mistaken. But I will say this: he wasn't letting that ball get caught. He just doesn't like to practice. Maybe he on his AI stuff. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Vince says 4 TEs. 4 tight ends. I got 4 tight ends. I always have 4 tight ends. Always did. Always have. The question is, which 4? Because you drafted 2. Braden Willis had a catch or whatnot. But yeah, like, interesting. The tight ends who didn't look good in camp showed up in the mother freaking game. Let that sink in. Ambry Thomas, I thought, played well, man. I don't think I don't know, man. Warner's on the last year of his deal, too. So it's going to be interesting. All right, before I open up the phone lines, I want to do these super chats real quick, right? So I promise you we're going to get a couple of takes on here. So just stick around because it's been a great show, man. Listen, hit the like button again. If you're new to the channel, you're new to the stream, don't forget to subscribe. Matter of fact, take a pause real quick, subscribe to the channel or whatnot, man. That'll be perfect, all right? So we got some super chats in the queue. Let's go ahead and get those popping and cracking. crack-a-lacking, all right? And we got some, Jax Knox is being a cheerful giver on this morning. Shout out to Jax. You get the air horns. No, you get the foghorn. You're touching down right now. Jason, I was drunk last night, 17-0, period. So if you didn't tune into last night's show, Jax said that she didn't know any longer about the 17-0, and now she's coming out saying it was the liquor talking, and she's back on the 17-0 train. You know what, Jax? Round of applause. Way to stick to your guns. I ain't mad at you. And then she gives the super chat and says, please make the darn excuses even. I think that's what, at least that's what I'm asking for. Jax is asking for it too in the super chat. But if we're going to give one player excuses, like, then give them all excuses. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody, there's a reason why, players don't perform up to expectations and things like that. So, whether they look good or not, cool. But my point is, if Brock doesn't look good, don't tell me it's just because he might have been rushed back from surgery. He hasn't played. Nah. Because he's cleared. Fuck that. He's cleared to play. Matter of fact, he got cleared and he's cleared to practice, which means he's cleared to play. If he wasn't cleared to play, he wouldn't be practicing. On top of that, he just came back as quarterback one, which I don't have a problem with. But my point is, we got to stop with the excuses because there's a possibility he can go out there and not look good. So if he doesn't look good, let's talk about why he didn't look good. Don't say it's because he rusty. Fuck that. Say his accuracy sucked. Say that he didn't get out the pocket fast enough. Say he didn't get the ball out of his hand fast. I want the same smoke. That's all I'm asking for. Dwelly is dwelling and Ambry is ambling, period. I don't even know what ambling means yet. But thank you. I appreciate that. Ambry is ambrying or ambling. I don't know. I'm thinking ambulancing or something. I don't know. It is what it is. But listen, Jacqueline, Jax Knox, appreciate you. Thank you so much for the contributions or whatnot. All right, let's go ahead and get you guys on the show because I always promise that there will be a time for you to speak. And I always want to keep my promise. All right. Now, I don't have much time, but I'll get as many people as I can get on before I gots to go. All right. And I'll try to keep the stuff to a freaking minimum. All right. I'll let you know when it's time for you to get off. But let's go ahead, man. Phone in. Again, here are my takes. This is what I want to hear about. You ready? This is what I want to hear about. So do I have these written down somewhere? I feel like I do. All right. So here are my takes about Trey Lance and the situation. Okay. Here are my takes. Whew. This is tough. It's tough to talk about. Take number one. I don't feel, from what I've seen, that Kyle Shanahan, who runs this team, is being fair to Trey Lance. Now, I didn't talk much about practice, but when I was out there for one practice, the reps that he was taking was weird. The sequence, was awkward. Guess what? It started with a pass. I will leave it at that. I didn't like that. I didn't understand why they wouldn't set up. But then, Bam Bam said maybe he's trying to get him to work on that particular part. All right. So I feel like he's not being fair to Trey. That's my first take. You can agree or disagree with that. And the second, or he's not trying, and this is where Bam Bam came in. And this is why I said I didn't want to address it then, but it was perfect. Like God always happens right on time. He's not trying to show the NFL what Trey can really do because he still has time on that contract. And I know it doesn't make sense to everybody out there, but Kyle Shanahan is smart. He's very smart. He does like to stash players. He will stash you for as long as he can. Now, if he needs you, he has to pull you out of the stash. You guys ever play Uno? Do you use your wild cards, your draw fours, or your wild cards right away, or do you stash them to the end of the game so you can go out and hit with the double Uno? I'm just curious to know how y'all play Uno. Those are my two takes. I know it doesn't make sense to everybody out there, but it's not supposed to because they my damn takes. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, he's either not being fair by not calling the same plays, giving Trey time to like get out there. We say we need him to develop, and then all of a sudden he's not developing because he's asked to do something different. Then you see another quarterback come out there and it's a run. What do runs do? Set up the play action pass. So then why is Trey Lance's first play a play action pass? A play that has to develop. How do you play action pass if you don't run the ball? Tell me. Please. Tell me why. I need to know. All right, I got the Bishop in the queue. Bishop, you're first in the building, man.
Hey,
What's going on, family?
love being first. Love being first.
First is amazing, you know? Except for a fantasy football draft, that first sucks, bro.
No, man, well, come on, Breezie.
You get the first pick, and then you got to have a really good.
I'll tell you
what, we'll talk about that tomorrow. I'll tell you what. What's going on, bro?
I'm doing okay, man. How you doing?
I'm blessed and highly favored. Always. You will always hear that no matter what I'm going through. You know why?
Amen.
Because I've had some good days. I've had some hills to climb.
Come on.
I've had some weary days and some sleepless nights. But when I look around and I start to think things over, all of those good days and those bad days, they outweigh those bad days, excuse me. But you know what I'm not going to do anymore?
Go.
I won't complain.
Hallelujah. Let the
Let's
church
talk
say
to him.
amen.
Amen, bro.
Church say amen again.
Amen again. All right, man. I got a couple of takes. I just want to get your thoughts on them. You know, I just want to know how you feel about what you're seeing from your eyes.
Breezy, we've got to put it into perspective in terms of a young man playing football. And I want to make it clear and forever present for everybody who is in this chat and on into perpetuity. I like both of these young men are exceptional young men. I really believe that. Brock looks like one of those lieutenants I've gotten back in 1995 in my platoon, man. He looks like what you call a ring knocker. He probably went to West Point or Annapolis or something. And we just know, oh, that dude got it, man. And Trey looks like my son. He looks like Isaiah, who might be in the chat. He done jumped on my show a couple of times. Available on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 in the morning, ladies.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel too.
Like and subscribe. Terradome, everybody. Terradome. We have to really take into account Trey hasn't played a lot of football since his high school senior year. He played 1 year, and then through circumstances beyond his control, COVID came and saw everybody. So he didn't get but one more game, right?
It shut him down.
He falls into the lap of what we consider the greatest franchise to ever be in sports history, the San Francisco 49ers, and it looked like a road paid with gold. You know, you going to San Francisco, it's going to be the deal. They a little tired of Jimmy G. Man, you going to come in and do this. You're going to come in and do that. Kyle was drawing up stuff on a napkin saying, this kid's got it. He can absorb it. I seen him a little bit at North Dakota State. It's coming in there. But a clock is ticking in the background, and he hasn't played and saw the prerequisite things that you need to do to develop. Now, he has skills. He is tall. He was running over people. You can look at his film.
He has the attributes.
Yes. He got all the attributes you want. It reminds us a lot of a Patrick Mahomes, of a Josh Allen, of a Jalen Hurd. It looked like he could be able to do it, but you got to work. Faith without works is dead. And you have to continuously put in works and put in efforts and put in competitive spirit on a man to harden yourself and season yourself. And then flash forward, there's this young kid down at a Power 5 conference, and Bill Parcells said, I look for a guy who played in the Power 5, who played 30 games, won 23 of them, went above 62%, whose school wasn't this before he got there. And then after he leaves, the school diminishes. I look for a kid who can take control of stuff, who puts in work that maybe nobody else seen. And my personal thing is I look for a guy who's played in a Power 5, who had success in a Power 5, but didn't have number one skills surrounding him like a lot of Alabama, a lot of Oklahoma, a lot of Ohio State, a lot of Michigan. They didn't have number one receivers getting drafted off the board around them. It was on him. Finally, I look at how you did in that school, in that Power 5 conference, that you matched up against somebody very similar, your stature, very similar, your experience, very similar who you are. I did a silhouette challenge, man, and Brock Purdy had 80 touchdowns in his 3 years, and Jalen Hurd had 81. Brock Purdy stands a even 6'1". Y'all can Google it. 223 pounds. He carries that weight in his thighs. And then finally, he has his opportunity. When some things happen, he gets in there against the Miami Dolphins, who just cracked open your starting quarterback's ankle. And he puts up, I think it was 37. And then he goes the next week against Tampa, against the greatest quarterback to ever live. He's behind me on my shelf right there. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady, born August 3rd, 1977, whom we should have got. And he went 28 unanswered. He's put in film after film and made play after play. And he's just done it. Jimmy G was playing his best ball. You had shows. I was on your show. I was on a couple of other people's show and said, Jimmy G is playing the best I've seen him play and pure quarterbacking. And it was 24.5 points a game. This kid came in and took it to 33. And then he goes to the playoffs, man. And we know what Jimmy G did in a Super Bowl run. We didn't ask Jimmy G to do anything but hand that ball off and just throw a couple of passes here and there. ESPN, Fox Sports News, everybody else, The Athletic was saying, well, obviously they don't trust Jimmy, man. They ain't asked him to throw the ball too much. This kid went up against the Seattle Seahawks and Pete Carroll chewing that gum and put up 41. I know the Cowboys came in the next week coming off of a high, were very, very formidable, but the Cowboys, they are up there with us in Philadelphia this year in terms of defensive talent. Those Cowboys are ready, and their defensive coordinator was the head coach of Kyle Shanahan back when he played in Atlanta. They had some schemes ready to go for us. And the kid didn't make the mistake. He made the play to George Kittle when he needed. He didn't turn it over. Regardless of what you think in terms of, he was going to catch it. It could have been an interception, but it wasn't. Trey, what's his name? Dak Prescott made the big no-nos and the big mistakes.
Correct.
This kid didn't. I looked back and said, well, maybe it was CMC. Maybe CMC was the key to all of this. And CMC did get our uptake better. But I went and analyzed the numbers. George Kittle got almost twice as many touchdowns with Brock Purdy as he did with Jimmy G. Mm-hmm. Brandon Ayuk went from 7.6 reception up to close to 8, and he finally cracks that invincible number that was 1,000 yards. in a season. I looked at the ancillary players around him. Use check. He was scoring now. He's getting better.
So you're saying, and so you're saying Brock, because I got to get the other callers on here real quick.
Go ahead.
You're saying Brock elevated the play. He made his team better.
Yes, sir.
So here's the thing, like that, like I wasn't even questioning Brock. I agree with Brock
I know,
being
Breezie,
the guy.
Let me shout out Breezie right quick. He's not doing that, ladies and gentlemen. He's not, but I know a lot of people are, because when you don't have something, the thing you have to do is cut down the opponent of something. You have to blow somebody else's candle out to make yours better. And Breezy's not doing that. Breezy's not doing that. This is for those people who do that. But go ahead, Breezy.
No, and I understand that. And so my thing is, like, we saw what Brock can do. We saw what he did under duress. You know, I think the situation was a little bit different. And what I mean by that is, you know, the 49ers record wasn't that great. We went on a winning streak after that game, right? You know what I mean? Like, we were in the midst of being in the middle of the pack, and Jimmy goes down. Next thing you know, we go on a run, right? And we go on a run because of the talent of what Brock was able to do, as well as the other pieces, and we just started gelling. And so, like, that, to me, that's what I saw. But my thing is this, like, for Trey Lance, you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's not because he isn't gifted. That's what you started off. He doesn't lack the talent. He doesn't lack the skill set. What he lacks is fitting in his freaking offense. And I don't think he can ever fit in the offense. It's like trying to take your foot, which is a size 12, but you want to fit it in them 10 and a half Jordans.
Because or them Louboutins with the red bottom,
which
you wanted to look. It go with your outfit. It is perfect. But
it just doesn't fit.
You wear 13.
Right. It doesn't fit. Like he and I'm not saying he won't, but just looking at the way that stuff seems to be drawn up for him, he's being, in my opinion, that's why my second part of the take is Kyle really testing him? Like, is he putting him through this fire to make the iron? Is he trying to get him into these situations so that he can understand? He's never seen this before, right? He's never seen this type of football. He's never seen these type of defenses. He hasn't even played a lot in college, but when he was there, it was, we running the ball, fake the handoff, I'm throwing the ball 70 yards down the field, just go beat the guy. I get it there. That is where he came from. That's pro-style offense.
Pro-style offense. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And look, for all of us dogging Kyle and say he doesn't know the quarterback position, make no mistake and be very clear. The evidence points to the fact that stories were leaked from inside the San Francisco 49er organization that went to very reputable people that we were getting Mac Jones. It was Kyle at the final hour who went and got Trey Lance. Kyle wanted Trey. Kyle brought him in there. Nothing was moving without Kyle Shanahan's. I'm a boss at my job. I'm a boss. Either when you're a boss, it's either you're doing what I allow you to do or instructed you to do. The high draft choices are Kyle Shanahan's. He brought Trey to this organization. He tried to make and implement Trey 1 year ago today. It is the 14th. 1 year ago today, there was no debate, there was no discussion, there was no negotiation. Trey Lance was number one on this roster. Kyle put him in there, and then he went to the Cabo Click, told them, this is my guy, y'all get behind him.
That is true.
And Kyle tried to put and implement the best he could because he really didn't want to go to Jimmy no more. He was like, we're moving on. This is my kid. He had to run him in order for franchises and defenses to respect his run. If you never do anything, if you never show me that you can run, I won't respect it. So Kyle had to establish the fact that he is a threat running, and a lot of us get on Kyle. You ran him up the middle. You ran him too much. You running him into the ground. It's like you must establish the fact that he is a threat with the ball in his hand. If you don't, you just, you might as well get a Tom Brady to run the ball a little bit. Because nobody's gonna respect. Anybody worry about Tom Brady doing
right?
Who's my favorite quarterback? I ain't worried about Tom Brady on the triple option.
Right.
You got to put it in his hands, and they got to burn him once or twice, and then defense will be like, hold up, y'all. He real. He could get us. So Kyle is a narrator in terms of play calling. There are four types. I established it on my show. He's the narrator. He's setting you up for the end game. That's why Trey did so much better in the Houston game. The first half, he was this.
Right?
It ain't look this way. It ain't look that way.
Right.
Like, oh my God.
He looked mid. He looked bad.
He looked bad that first half, but you noticed that second half.
Yeah, because the adjustments were made. That's why I said even in this game, if this was a real game and Trey Lance looked bad, he started getting in rhythm. I got to get Case on here. He started getting into a rhythm, and then next thing you know, he started getting into a flow. That's Kyle Shanahan making the adjustments. That lets me know if Trey could. Kyle said that if Trey would have continued to play, it might have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was setting you up. He's setting you up the whole time. It's like a good movie. He's setting you up. He's putting bait in there. We actually have called what's a cheese route. And I'll throw it to Talanoa Hufanga, who took the cheese a couple of times. It's called the Yankee concept. We run Ayuk long, and then we cut Debo over. And if that safety comes down and takes that cheese, we going up top. But if he does what he's supposed to do, go top to bottom, take care of the very top, the vertical. We come underneath with that. It's a cheese. He's setting you up the whole time, giving options to the setup. And I'll end with this real quick, Breeze. I know you got other people to say. Offensive line, y'all did absolutely nothing yesterday.
Terrible.
I don't care if you would have put Patrick Mahomes mixed with Joe Montana, mixed with Dan Marino, mixed with anybody else. You were putrid. You were horrible. And you lucky I ain't your coach. If they complaining about Eric Bieniemy, trust and believe y'all would be hitting that 7-man sled like it ain't no tomorrow. They will think you are Rudolph.
They soft, man. They're soft.
We're hitting that sled today. I don't care if you got liquor in your system. I don't care if you got daggone pizza in your stomach. We're on that sled. We're going to push it 100 yards this way, and we're going to push it 100 yards that way. Chris Forrester, you're on the clock.
You're on the bubble. Like his ass can go. At this point, there's two groups on this team.
Talk to me.
That can't be weak physically or mentally, and they both play in the trenches. I got to get Eddie G on here. Terradome, you are awesome. Thank you for joining the show, my brother.
All right, my brother. Y'all keep going, man. Go Niners. We're going to be all right.
For sure. All right. For sure. Guys, make sure you subscribe to his channel. It's Terradome. He does his 49er takes as well right here on YouTube. Great guy, man. You got to love him. Before I bring Eddie G on, Christopher Burton says, can't blame Trey. Offensive and defensive line was terrible. They have to set the tone on both. I didn't even read it. I saw you comment multiple times, and I'm like, you know what? Let me get this up here. And you just confirmed what I said. Interesting. Let's bring Eddie G on here. What's going on, my brother? I know you've been waiting patiently, and I appreciate you, fam.
Oh, man. No, I appreciate you, bro. I'm just letting you guys cook. I love it. I love it.
Now is your time to cook, baby. Let's go.
Hey, I don't know how much I can add, man. I was watching the live with Mose. I was on there watching the Mose.
That's what's up. Shout out to Mose. Baby. Subscribe to the channel.
That offensive line, you already said it was atrocious. And where we thought we were good in our depth now seems to look like it might be our weakness.
Finally, I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to do the show based off that, and I'm like, nah, that's cheesy. But somebody's gonna talk about it because it's super important. Because this will be the second year that I've talked about depth, and then it's just not panning out. Last year, I talked about we had good depth. All of a sudden, all of them got hurt. This year, I'm like, yo, the depth is crazy. It's Trent Williams, and now I'm scared.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm okay. So I know we're talking about Trey and what happened there. And yes, was he the best? No. But how can you expect a guy with hardly any time to do anything when every defensive lineman is in your face within 2 to 3 seconds? How do you
Yeah,
expect that?
I don't know. I can't.
I don't care who's back there. I'm with Bishop. I don't care who's back there. I don't care if Patrick Mahomes is back there. You got to give him time.
I was trying to figure it out, Eddie, because you know, they're pointing out him patting the ball and his indecisiveness and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, no doubt. Like I would be indecisive as well if I don't know who's behind me, who's on the side of me. Let me just explain this. Trey Lance went from starting to not starting, right? So starting, he knows he's gonna have the best damn protector of the blind side he's ever gonna have.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't there anymore. So now his mindset is like, okay, I trust these guys, but I don't know them like that. Like
Bro, it was Jason Poe looked like he was just stepping aside and let the guys through. He
he's
didn't
just
stop
not. He
nobody.
doesn't have the size, man. He's not.
No, and Mose kept saying it's like he could not anchor. He couldn't do it at all. And man, so I guess my whole thing is like, look, I know people are like, oh, we're making excuses. Look,
I got it. I get it.
I'm not going to make excuses, bro. Trey didn't play the greatest either. I agree
No,
with it. He
but
didn't.
he was.
Couldn't.
Yeah, but he started making adjustments to be
Mhm.
better. That's what I saw from Trey. I saw him get punched in the face 2 times, and then he was like, I'm just gonna run. It's just gonna,
Yeah.
I'm trying to make a play. It started on the Patrick Mahomes-esque play to Willie Snead. That was the scoring drive. After
Yes.
that, it was like, okay. Trey Lance might be in the bag. So he started to trend to get better. But why does Trey? Here's my question: why can't you start Trey off with plays that he can be successful in earlier, so that he's in a rhythm, so that he doesn't take too long to accelerate? That's the question.
Yeah, and I think this is where I get confused with Kyle. This is where I get confused because I said the same thing first play. Why are we passing the ball? We're a run team. Why are we not? I mean, I know it's a preseason game. We're not worried about score. We're worried about reps. I get it. But even with reps, we establish this offense with the run. We always have. That's been a staple the whole time. Now, if his reason was he wanted Trey to get, sling that ball and try to get some passes off, I get it. But, bro, that first series, I sat in my chair like I was confused. I was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. He didn't even give him a chance to get his feet under him. Not at all.
Well, then Eddie, the first 3 plays were passes.
Yeah.
It was a sack, a completion, and a sack. So we can blame Trey and say he looked bad, but at the end of the day, there was no help to suppress that because on the first sack, they're 2nd and 13, so you're not going to run. You're probably going to set up a short throw to try to get at least half of that 13 back, which they did. Shout out to Ross Dwelly. And then it made it a 3rd and 6 situation. But on 3rd and 6, you're not going to run on 3rd and 6 unless you got the speed to kick it to the outside to do something crazy with it. So those were the 3 sequence play calls for Trey, but it started on that first play. So if you get sacked on the first play, usually it's a loss of down. Like you're going to punt the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I'm trying not to read too much in it first time. I mean,
Right.
you gotta add in the fact that's the first time he's been on the field against another team in 11 months. And before that, you already talked about it. He doesn't have the experience. So I'm leaning to what you're saying about Trey doesn't fit this offense right now because he doesn't have the time.
I don't
He
want to
hasn't
believe
had the
that
time.
though. I know.
I don't either. I don't either. I want them all to be good. That's the one thing I think that gets lost
Right.
so quick.
I guess
They all wear this.
right.
They all
right.
wear this. So what happened? You know, I've seen a bunch of people in the chat. I've seen it. I mean, Twitter. Don't get me or X. Don't get me
I
started
wasn't.
on
I haven't
it.
been on Twitter at all. I'm not.
It's so bad, and I get it. People are upset. People want to know. Oh, well, why is he doing this? What's going on? Why does Trey look like this? All these quarterbacks got to be good, especially after what we went through last year, which doesn't happen. Who loses? That's the one thing I've heard all these like beat writers and reports. Who loses 4 quarterbacks in a year? Well, apparently we do, because it happened. So I don't want to root for one guy. I want every one of them to do good because probably at some point we're going to need at least 1 or 2 more of them. So I don't know. I'm with you though. The first thing I thought about, and you know, I was watching the game. I'm text messaging my dad and my uncle in California. I live in Georgia now. You know, I'm going back and forth with them because they're big Purdy guys, and I'm like, well, you still want Trey to be good because what if Purdy goes down? What happens then? You're going to root against Trey?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I know they don't want Sam Darnold out there. Like, there's no way you want Sam Darnold out there. Who is the turnover
I don't
machine?
Agree. I don't agree with you know, okay, so I know people don't like him. I love Grant Cohn. I love how he does his thing. I love Grant Cohn.
Yo.
I don't know why people don't like him. Yes, he's a beat writer. I think people forget. He's not a 49er fan.
Right.
He is a beat writer.
Correct.
He's working. But when he was out there during training camp, and he's been saying it, and you got to see it this first preseason game, he's been saying it. He said, Sam Darnold, if he goes for that first read, and he waits on that first read, if that first read's not there, all of a sudden he's panicking for the next ones. And you saw how often he was going that first read, no matter what. First read, I'm going. When he was scanning the field.
But see, that's what they want Trey to do.
No.
That's what right. So which one do we want? Do we want the kid to go through his progressions? Because if so, you got to give the motherfucker time. If you want him to go to his first read, well, man, that ain't what he do. He wants to. Trey Lance wants. First of all, his first read is what? The big play. But he knows it needs time to develop. So if there's a guy in his face, there's no way he's getting the ball down the field. Nope. Then he has to go and get the mechanics and the thing to get to that second to third read. But how's he going to get there if you get what I'm saying? That's why I keep saying he doesn't fit. The kid is literally looking to air that hole out, and he can't because if the protection isn't there for him, it's not going to happen. And if they're going to run play action, sorry, Eddie, if they're going to run play action, then you got to run the ball. How do you do play action if you don't run the ball? Like, the defense ain't going to bite. I ain't biting. They didn't even run it. They didn't even test our run defense yet. They're just going to think we're going to bite on the run. Nah, we playing back, homie. That's what we're going to do.
One of the reasons I'm so hard more on the offensive line side of it than Trey, and I said it on the comments with Mose, and he read it, it's no Max Crosby, no Chandler Jones was out there. That was 2s and 3s, putting the pressure on our backup offensive line, and was throwing them around like they was nothing. It was bad. How do you expect any quarterback? I'm not just talking about Trey. That's my whole feeling. How do you expect any quarterback to do something like that?
I hear you. This is what. So Josh, shout out to Josh Brown, we cousins. He says Trey Lance gets the ball from the center and freezes up. This is probably what I feel like a lot of people saw, and that's if this is what you saw, fine. But he didn't always do this, so there's a reason. So something's different. You get what I'm saying?
And some of it is on Trey. Some of it is
for sure. But I don't remember hearing any comment about Trey Lance getting the ball from a center and freezing up. I never heard this before until this game, which lets me know Kyle working on something, like something cooking. Like, you get what I'm saying? I don't know. So. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if my second take, and I got to get CJ on here, if my second take isn't the one, because I do know Kyle will not show his hand. He will not show it. I feel like Kyle knows what Trey can do, and he's really trying to get him to work on the stuff that he's struggling with. That's the quick throws, the quick reads, the first. Listen, Trey, and Mike pointed this out to me last night. He said, Wayne, like, Trey got to throw the ball to that spot. And then let it be on the receiver to make the mistake. But if Trey does what the coach is telling him and gets the ball to the spot, after that, it's not Trey's fault. I'm like, Mike, you send me a picture of this, and there's a defender right there, and there's a guy in Trey's face, and you're telling me he has to throw that ball. God forbid the defender jumps the route, it's going to the end zone the other way. Like, do you want him to make the pick six, or do you want him to take the sack and live on to the next play? We can't have our cake and eat it too. And that goes for any quarterback. Like,
Yes.
there are times where they take the sack. I've heard you say, or people say, yo, you got to eat that. You got to take the sack. You got to take it. You know what I'm saying? Don't give him a
Would you
pick
rather him
six.
take the sack, or would you rather him throw the ball? Yeah, right into a defender's hands. What do you want?
Yeah.
I know. I get it, Breezy. And you know what? I'm not going to kill the kid over this. I've been on the same thing, and I'm going to stick with it. I am not going to be out on Trey Lance until Trey Lance gets a chance to get out there with George Kittle, CMC, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, every weapon that we have on our number one offense before I absolutely say, okay, you know what? He's done. You know, he can't do it. I'm not going to do it. It ain't right.
It's not right. And then Darren D says, why would Kyle do that in games? He disagrees. This is practice to Kyle. Like, this is not a real life situation, real game situation, excuse me. It's where you kind of try things out, to me. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm making up that take. It's not real. It's just, I just feel like Kyle Shanahan maybe just trying to get him to work on some stuff.
And we're fans, you know, and at the end of the day, we're fans. You know, we can sit here and say this and say that. We don't know what's going on in that locker room. We can only hope that they want him to do better, and Kyle wants him to. Kyle was talking him up. I don't know when was the last time Kyle talked up Trey Lance in a press conference.
That's what I'm saying. I got the clips.
Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. I don't get it. Eddie, man, thanks for calling in, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
I'm looking forward to this season, brother. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun.
I'll
It's
see you
gonna
in
be fun.
Jacksonville, baby.
Yes, sir. Peace out. All right, man. Let's get my man CJ Gray on here. We got to keep this moving. If you could turn your audio down, I think that's why I'm getting the echo, bro.
I have audio issues.
Yeah, because there's an echo coming. So when I talk, I don't think it's the audio from your TV. Check.
Yeah, I turned the TV down.
I tell you what, I'ma shut up. You talk.
Okay. Yeah, because I was on with Dion this morning, and for whatever reason, when Dion talked, there was an echo when he talked, but there wasn't anything going on when I talked, and I had to mute myself for him to talk, and I don't know what is up with that at all from a setting standpoint. But I'll start with the disclaimers. Trey Lance hasn't played in 11 months, and his offensive line was failing him was failing him early in the game. He had to play with the second and third team offensive line, and so forth. So I will start there. I'll also go to that. For some reason, man, Trey has so much hate that comes his way, more so than any other prospect that I've ever seen. Like, Jamarcus Russell was drinking lean before games, and they gave him an empty playbook, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I studied the tape, coach. I got you." And they just give Trey so much more hate than anybody else, and I just really hate that for the kid. That he's a young kid. He's in social media. And I know the players say, "Yeah, I don't look at this stuff and I don't pay attention to it." They're a damn lie. They pay attention to all that stuff. They know what's being said about them. So from that standpoint, yeah, I see Jets games comment, man, Zach Wilson gets hate. Man, Zach Wilson has played like 20-something to 30 starts, man. And we done seen him, and we done seen the good, bad, and ugly from Zach Wilson. Trey Lance has played and started 3 complete games. This is not just the same this is not comparing apples to apples. Jets game, you're gonna have to stop with that stuff. All right. Now let's get to the analysis of what I saw. With all that true, yes, he was late on stuff. He didn't see the field, battled, but again, he didn't play it in 11 months. So I'm gonna kind of give him somewhat of a pass on that stuff, on that part of it. The part that concerned me the most is his inability to evade the rush. Like the second and third team Raider players were coming, and he just couldn't seem to get away from them. And then there was a play where he tried to take off and run, and the guys just run him right down like it's nobody's business. So his horizontal escapability, running left or right on the field, is not to be desired as far as a quarterback that you deem to be an athlete that can be an athlete until he can work on his pocket passing ability and stuff like that, like a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and these other hyper athletic guys that really didn't have their pocket passing down first, but they was able to just run around and just make a play because they were so athletically gifted. And Trey isn't that. He's primarily just a pocket passer. Now, granted, if somebody plays man defense and the defense has got their back turned to him and he needs to run through a hole and through his line and run straight ahead and get vertical, yeah, Trey can do that pretty well. But when it comes to the horizontal, making people miss and backyard stuff, he's just not really that good at it. And so that just leaves me in a place where what you were saying is that he just doesn't fit our offense. And Kyle Shanahan's offense is predicated on somebody that on time and pace and anticipation, hitting the open guy and being quick about it. And that's just not what he does right now. So overall, maybe later on he might be good in his career somewhere, but for the San Francisco 49ers, the boat has been pulled up and the boat is starting to drift away from him being a San Francisco quarterback just because of where he is with his pocket passing development right now as comparison to where Brock Purdy is right now. And since he doesn't have that hyper athletic ability to bridge the gap, that's where I could take from last night. And so other people are getting overboard and like, man, he's a bust and he will never be good and all this other stuff. I don't know that, but I just find it far more and more and more difficult thinking he's going to be the 49ers quarterback. And that's sad because of what we gave up. And then historically, if we look back on it, especially if we don't win a Super Bowl, it's going to look like it's going to look like the third worst draft trade in NFL history behind the Herschel Walker trade and the Ricky Williams trade. And I'm just going to turn it over to you so you won't echo and stuff.
Yeah. So I'm going to echo. So if you could put your mic on mute, I won't echo. There we go. So very, very, very well thoughts. I thought your analysis was pretty spot on from what everybody saw. Like, I think you got to leave your mic on mute. I think. Yeah, you got to. All right, so I muted you. So hopefully there's no echo. But no, like seriously, look, it's starting to seem like he doesn't fit, and it's gonna be hard to see if Trey Lance will ever fit because he's just not going to get the reps that you and I feel like he needs to get so we can see if he's going to fit into this type of an offense. It doesn't mean that he won't get out there and make a play or you know, whatever. It's just he's not Brock and he's not typically kind of like what Sam does. Like Sam is going to look to get the ball to that first read. Boom, that's it. And so it's going to be interesting. You talked about him being an athlete, and I got to get everybody else on. It's not that Trey is not athletic. I think everybody's missing the athleticism. Kyle was trying to use Trey's strength of his athleticism, which is getting up the middle. Like that's what Trey does. as far as getting to the outside, he doesn't have the horizontal, the lateral speed. He never did. He didn't run that fast. So we know he doesn't have that type of speed, the 3-cone speed that we need to see him probably do, which quarterbacks don't even partake in. But I'm sure Trey Lance doesn't have that type of athleticism. But what you saw from college was that he could just get up through the middle quickly. But then the difference is the NFL players are faster, bigger, and stronger. And so I thought Kyle was trying to set that up. But if that offensive line is missing blocks, even on the play that he got injured, if Trey Lance had the mindset of a running back, which you can tell he doesn't, he cuts that ball to the outside and he doesn't get injured. Or if Jake Brendel just doesn't miss the block, he doesn't get injured. So at the end of the day, I feel like Kyle be setting these players up for success. It's always something that goes wrong. It's always one little thing, one little piece. Remember we talked about that on the show. We said that for Kyle Shanahan's offense to be really successful, all 11 pieces got to play their part, and then his plays will always work. That's kind of how much of a genius he is. And at some point, what happens when the defense throws a wrench in your play and you need a player to make a play? I think that's kind of what it comes down to, and we have the weapons for that. Now we just need the quarterback, which we saw with Brock Purdy. He was able to extend plays. And I think that, to me, is what helps him supersede in this offense. His ability to get the ball out of his hand quick and the fact that he can extend plays and make plays. If they force Brock to stay in the pocket, he will struggle. If they force him, if they force him to stay, he's been struggling in camp because they've been making him stay in the pocket because they don't really want him to kind of spin or roll out or do all these kind of crazy things you saw him do last year because it can possibly get him hurt. So now they're trying to force him to remain in that pocket and to make the right. So we'll see how that pans out when it comes to Brock Purdy this season because we haven't seen him play any football, not preseason, and the season hasn't started yet. So CJ, thanks for being on the show, man. I got to get these callers on here. Gammon is next, Chuck D, then Diehard Niners for Life, and I got to go get my son. So we're going to speed these up a little bit. But thank you to everybody for calling in, man. All right? All right, man. Gammon, let's get you on here, bro. Did I mute you or did you mute you? There you go.
I muted me. I decided just do that myself. Take care of that anyways.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of liked a lot of things that my man CJ was saying. And also to shout to Terradome. I liked what Terradome was saying because you try to kind of be in the middle with both of these quarterbacks. Because I'm 38. I don't know how old everyone else is in the chat, but I'm just not a fan of my peers or anybody kind of around me just tearing down other young 20-something-year-olds. That to me is just, it's bizarre. But I do think there's a way to kind of look at everything fairly and maturely for sure. I don't want to take anything away from Brock. I just remember, what was it, during the game against the Buccaneers, and his dad was just in the stands just crying, and I was like, dang, I wish I did something that made my dad that proud.
You know what? That's a moment, man. Yeah. Dang. He just beat the GOAT. That's what it was. I mean, bad. He beat the GOAT bad. That's what it was. After getting injured on the first play. I don't know if y'all remember that, but that's where he got that rib injury. He got rocked on the right side, obviously. And he was hurt that game.
Exactly. And I've listened to so many kind of YouTubers or podcasters kind of talk about this ad nauseum, what happened in practice. And then some people bring up, the Allen Iverson quote, it's just practice doesn't matter. But you do hear that practice does matter. I mean, for anybody who's ever played a sport, for me, I don't know about you, Breezy, but I was actually terrible in practice. So when I was playing college basketball or whatever, if you just would have looked at me in practice, I don't know what it was but I actually needed those reps to get, lack of a better term, the stupid out. I don't know why. There were some people who they practiced how they played and they played how they practiced. For me, I just made, as a point guard, 6'1" point guard, I just made every single mistake in the book. And then it just magically cleaned itself up on the game day. But I do think that because people are trying to either minimize or bloviate what Brock did in practice by throwing those 4 picks. The way that I always tend to kind of look at it is because someone said, when was the last time Dan Marino threw 4 picks in practice? Or how many times did Dan Marino throw 4 picks in practice? And most people go like, I don't know. And then to that person's like statement, they were like, well, it's because it's not important. No one cares about those, right? They only care about what happens on Sundays. And I was agreeing and I was nodding along with it, but I was going like, you know what? Honestly, I think for the rest of my life, I think I'll remember that Jimmy Garoppolo threw 5 consecutive picks in practice. Like, that'll never leave me. I don't know what happened the practice before or the practice after that. But I just remember as soon as he threw those 5 picks consecutively, in my mind, even though we went to the Super Bowl that year, in my mind, that told me that Jimmy's not the guy. And I'm starting to kind of feel that way. And just being fair, this is an open discussion. And so I could be pissing off everyone on the left and everyone on the right. But what if Brock and Trey aren't that guy, right? And just trying to stay level-headed with it. And this team does start off notoriously slow. Like, if we're going to be this upset with the offensive line, because the big thing that I was saying was, when are the content creators going to start getting upset? I said this a few months ago. When the content creators going to start kind of representing the fans and saying we need a better offensive line. Because last year it felt like 2 things. If I said last year, it just seemed like it was Nick Bosa and then everybody else and then everyone would have clapped and applauded. But when I said, hey, on the offensive line, it was Trent Williams and nobody else. And everyone kind of like nodded and kind of agreed. But everyone was excited when they went out and they got Nick Bosa, another running mate on that offensive line, or on that defensive line. But we didn't do the same for Trent Williams. And, maybe we're starting to see that maybe the reason why Brock Purdy threw those 4 picks, maybe because that offensive line is getting eaten alive. Maybe, Darnold and Allen were getting the ball out of their hands so quickly because they knew, hey, it's either first read or nothing. Like, get it out quick. You didn't have time to. I was very impressed. I actually walked away from this very impressed with Trey Lance because I felt like it was in the second part or the second quarter. I felt like it was freelance. Like, he was learning how to freelance himself, make plays on he got out. Like, he could have just been, if he wanted to, he could have been so overwhelmed by that moment, by what happened in that first quarter, saw that secondary or that second quarterback or the first quarterback slip through his fingers. And instead he just got his mind right. It's like, I'm going to make this, SHIT happen on the field, God willing or not. And then to have that kind of mental fortitude to do that is a characteristic that I love in Brock Purdy and I love in Trey Lance. I love the fact that when Trey Lance got injured during the Cardinals game, that dude kept playing and he said he was ready to play, regardless of what was going on with his finger. When I saw Brock Purdy, when he got injured and he couldn't even make a throw, he still stood in there and handed off the football. And honestly, a lot of people call Brock Purdy Jimmy Jr., which I get that's like a knock, but I'll have to be honest, I thought he was Jimmy plus. I really did. It had me about 5 games into Brock Purdy's tenure where you knew like some of the times when we got up there to the field goal or to the red zone, it felt like we were settling for field goals with Jimmy Garoppolo. And then I was kind of giving Jimmy Garoppolo the slant eye when I was looking at Brock Purdy, and I was going like, we're not selling for field goals anymore. We're now banging these touchdowns in. I do think that he's going to regress to the mean. But 49ers O-line kind of he sent a super chat. But I think he will regress to the mean. But I think though it's also too, it's important to have context and perception. And that's really where I appreciate you, Breezie, is that you give a lot of great, I think, context to the perception on these topics. And before I get off of here, I did want to say that Breezie has one of the best communities ever. If all you ever do is only watch Breezie on YouTube, and you enjoy it and you're somebody who keeps kind of returning, or you like what you hear this one, it doesn't have to stop right here. He has a great forum on Discord and some other places, but I really highly recommend Discord.
Discord is fun. Yeah,
it's so much fun, and it's actually an active community. It's not a dead community.
right.
I would check the link below. Please join that Discord family. It's not really just a community. It goes over everything from cooking to
You name it, yo. We talk about anything, like, and it's so cool because people. The thing I like about it is it's just an open platform. People have questions about life, prayer, like it's just open, and then no one feels out of place, right? And I think that's the best thing about the Discord community. But it's the community that makes it really great. So I appreciate that plug.
Absolutely. And I'm about to leave out of here. Also, too, if you are a content creator, it's a good place to get into that Discord to either find out what topics of interest people are really kind of fired up about, and then maybe even to hit up Breezie and maybe, try and do a collab show or something like that. But
I'm always
Breezie,
open.
you are, man. You are awesome. And last thing before I get off, I do like the fact that some of your fans who are trying to create content, you just show up unannounced, and then you show up and you'll sometimes hop on their show. It doesn't matter if they only have 5 or 6 viewers. You go over there and
it's support, man. The issue for me is being consistent because of time. So if somebody asks me to be in their show and I just can't get back to you, it's just because I'm trying to figure out time. But if I'm happen to be sitting around and I see your show on, that's time. I got time. Like I'm like, you know what I mean? So I'm just gonna jump. Like I just love to support just everybody if I can. It's only one me, but if I can support you, I will.
That's right. And we're all just one person too, and our likes really do add up. So and clicking the like button is free. I'm gonna go ahead and click it, and show this man support who goes out of his way to support everybody else. Appreciate you, Breezy.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you, Gammon. Wait a minute, Big Lucci. Hold up, it's Big Luch. Did you? Is it because of the gap? Because I'm working on the gap. I don't know how to fix it other than getting braces. I'm too old for that. But is it because of the gap? All right, man. I got 2 more callers, guys. All right. I love the show. Salute to my boy, Mini Strahan. Listen, if I could get Strahan money, woo-wee, man, put me on the $20,000, $5,000 sack pyramid. Is that what it's called? I'm still thinking of the Chronic album. But yeah, Chuck, you ready, baby?
Yeah, I'm ready. All right,
man. I appreciate you waiting, man.
No
all right.
problem.
You got the floor, bro.
All right. Looking at this from, I'm not a 49ers fan. I'm looking at it from another fan base.
Awesome.
I'm actually a Vikings fan. I'm actually from Minnesota.
Okay. We'll be out there, baby. I'll be out there for sure. We got to link up now. Now we got to link.
Yes, indeed. It's a great place. Don't let the weather scare you. It's great. It's like it's like 80 degrees and sunny out here today.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What I see is, all right, once Trey Lance, I don't think the 49ers really wanted to embrace Trey Lance. I mean, I think, but they wanted to have their cake and eat it too, because they didn't get rid of Jimmy G. They try to hold on to him because they're thinking, well, just in case Trey Lance gets hurt, we need to have backup because we have a quote unquote Super Bowl ready team. And now I'm thinking with Trey Lance's contract coming up, that 5th-year option, they're like, well, we'll just go to Brock Purdy because that way we can pay our other guys all this money and have to have a Brock Purdy on the 7th round draft pick money. And so that's what I see was going on. I don't think that I see the potential. I see it. I see it as there. But he needs actual reps, and he needs an organization that's fully behind him.
Man, I'm sitting in my seat like I'm about to poop in my pants. They need to hear it from someone else. They need this conversation to come from the opposition. It ain't like we play next week. We don't play for like several weeks from now. But the simple fact that you're giving us a perception on the outside looking in, and you have been literally, I don't know if this is the first time you've watched the show or what.
First time I watched the show.
Give him some love out there. On top of that, my guy, I feel like Kyle is in his bag because he can be. You get a whole nother year before this dude get any money. And guess what? If you don't play him, you ain't got to pay him. Let me
Right.
when you talk, because I know you don't want Kirk Cousins anymore, and don't bring his ass over here. But let me ask you this. If the 49ers, and I don't want to do this, would you trade?
Yes.
Shit. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You take
I
the
would
show.
trade. See, here's the thing though. I would trade what was it, a third or fourth round pick for Trey. That would be so easy. But the 49ers are doing the same thing they're doing what they did to Jimmy. They held on to Jimmy because they wanted to get something better in the trade. And they don't want to trade Trey Lance for nothing because they already gave up 3 picks. So they're trying to hold on to him. But my deal is they're doing it stupidly because if they want to up his trade value, why would you send him out there with that shit offensive line? I'm sorry for cussing. Why would you send him out there with that horrible...
we passed the 20-minute mark. You can let it loose.
Why would you send him out there with that horrible offensive line? And then if you know your line is terrible, play action pass, run some runs. Set it up so at least you can throw the defense a different look. They ain't even do that. And so I just feel like they're off of him because they feel like with Brock, and I agree with the last caller. I think Brock Purdy's basically a more nimble Jimmy G with a less arm. That's why he was throwing those picks in practice. And I think once they get him on tape, you'll see it in these first couple weeks. You guys will see it. He's not that guy. I'm sorry, he's not that guy.
Now hold up, right? I can't say
I've seen it with Kirk Cousins. We've seen this with RG3 and Kirk Cousins in Washington. It's the same thing, bro. It's the same thing.
Kirk has put up statistics.
Right.
The only thing Kirk can't do is win under the lights. I can't go out on the limb and say Brock is not that guy.
And look at his numbers in college. Look at his interception
but none of that matters anymore.
It does. It
doesn't because he did it in the NFL and he did it good. Like he did well with the time that he was given an opportunity. Brock came in and picked up the offense. So I don't give a fuck about what he did in college.
Okay, no. Let me explain.
I understand, but I don't think it matters.
No,
you saying he's going to revert back to that? Is what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Because remember, Vikings had the same thing happen with Case Keenum.
CJ Gray, who's watching the show, he was just on the air. This is the point he brought up last week. He mentioned Case Keenum, and I got sad real quick.
Yep. Case Keenum had a run with the Vikings. We went to the NFC Championship game with that dude.
I hear you, bro.
So and what's the difference between Brock and Case Keenum? They have the same profile, same height, weight, same college experience, same everything. The only difference is Brock had a serious injury that affected his throwing. So now when you talk about those out routes, Brock can't hit those anymore because his elbow is screwed up. So that makes it easier for DBs, bam,
to jump them routes. Well,
so
I tell you what.
And as far as the hate for Trey is because this happens all the time when quarterbacks look like me and you. That's just facts. Brock Purdy looks like the insurance salesman, so he's gonna get the love. He's gonna look like, that's why he's like the underdog.
Better story. Better story.
Yep. Whereas Trey Lance, the NFL does not want to become like the NBA.
I hear you. I don't put on blinders to that stuff. It's always going to be evident, but for me, I do my hardest to keep it about football until it doesn't make sense about football. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make it, like when the stuff starts to not make, like, it's starting to not make sense to me.
Exactly.
And so I be having these crazy conversations with myself. I split myself into twos, and I be like, self, like, this doesn't. Why does he have to do this when he
Mm-hmm.
can do this? So why not let him do this if you know he's great at doing this when you got him doing this? And so, like, that's the conversation I'm having. So it's starting to not make sense.
Right.
I
Because
hear you, bro.
even if you want to just trade him,
They don't want to do that. Because he needs it's the cake and eat it too. Listen,
I agree.
if Kyle Shanahan traded Trey Lance to any team, and every other team gave Trey Lance an opportunity to be himself in that type of offense, don't act like the NFL don't cater offenses to the quarterback strength. I've seen the shit all my life. It happens.
Or just let him play.
Just give him the reps, right? And he performs well. Woo-wee! I guarantee you, I bet you the fan base, I bet you they'll trash Kyle Shanahan. He'll be on the hot seat for sure.
Right.
Unless he wins a Super Bowl. Like, that's the only way he escapes the
I
hot
don't
seat.
see it.
I hear you, brother.
The
I hear you.
window's closing.
I hear
don't
you.
see it.
Listen, we gotta link up somehow, exchange information. You gotta figure out how we can get in touch. When I do the Vikings week, if you want to be a guest on the show,
Yeah, definitely.
we'll preview the game together. How's that sound?
Definitely. We should do that.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Peace. All right, we got one more call. This has been the best time of my life. I usually cut these calls out, but y'all have stuff to say. It's always about you. Die Hard 49ers for life. You in here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you a little muffled. I don't know if you can make it clearer, but I'm going to give you the floor to speak.
All right. Am I muffled now, or do I need to leave and come back?
It's still muffled, but if you want to go out and come back in, I don't know. It just sounds like you're too close to the microphone, so it's giving you a little muffled sound.
I got my mic on. Should I take my mic off?
Yeah, let's see if that works.
All right. Let me go ahead and real quick.
There it is, much better. Right there, we can hear you clear.
Settings.
We still hear you clearly. I'm gonna go on mute and I'm gonna let you talk. Go ahead and have the floor. Welcome to the show.
Okay. For Trey, I think we need to give the kid a chance. Like you said, what if Brock gets exposed and he ain't the same anymore? Give him some reps. What I feel is we need to worry about the kicker situation.
I was waiting for this call. Yeah, because listen, I'm a huge supporter in Jake Moody. I can't explain what happened other than the fact that the kid's never been iced before. He was iced twice at a preseason game. Not an excuse. Not an excuse. Not an excuse.
They need to ice him in practice. They need to do that practice drill and ice him.
Well, you do know in practice he's splitting reps, so it's like a quarterback competition at the kicker competition. So one day he'll kick, the next day he won't. The next day he'll kick. You get what I'm saying? How do you build consistency like that?
He needs to go out. My cousin was a kicker in high school and almost made the NFL, and he would always go outside and kick constantly. And he would go out the fields where he goes out and practices constantly kicking. So if I was Jake Moody, I would go out and just right now, today, kick until sundown, go to sleep, get back up, keep kicking, get your leg strength back and get your accuracy because what was he, a second round pick, a third round pick?
He was a third round pick. The 49ers.
Okay,
he was actually their first third round pick, like in this draft.
Yeah, so he still went up there. We could have got somebody else in the third round. So
we traded up to get
the
defensive player, Brown. So no, but see, you said that you think he should go out and kick, and let's talk about that because in practice he doesn't have accuracy issues. He does miss here or there in practice, but this was to me a situation. This was not a situation. This was a scenario, you know. And I know a lot of people don't like Josh McDaniel for doing it, but he iced him. He called timeout. That's called icing the kicker. And so the biggest thing for Jake Moody is to shake this off and go out there and do what you said. Just keep kicking. I don't think he has a problem kicking. I just think from that particular scenario, that 41-yarder, it kind of went a little bit to the left, and then the next one went a little bit to the right because he tried to fix what he did wrong, and then he just overcompensated. And so fixing it in the game is hard, opposed to just shaking it off and letting every kick be its own kick. I think it's a mental thing. I don't think Zane Gonzalez is the guy that I think they go with the kicker. I think they go with the rookie because he has the distance to kick long field goals, and he just has to figure out how to get over the hump. Now, a lot of people are pissed that we spent the 3rd round pick on him, so that's the issue. So he can't miss. That's his issue. That's his thing. He can't miss.
Well, when you have that mindset and you constantly say that you can't miss, and you're going to end up missing a lot more than what you'll make. So he'll have to just go with the flow and just keep kicking, miss one, learn how to shake it off, and then kick again. Because I think a lot of games are going to come down to 3 points or 6 points.
Oh, shoot.
And I just have that feeling the first 6 to 8 games are going to be very close. I just have that feeling with Brock being exposed, and
sounds about right.
Who knows? He might get hurt, and we might have to run with Trey. Because I'm sorry, that other guy, what was that backup that we had that was running after Trey? What was his name? Darnold?
Yes, Sam Darnold.
I don't think he's going to cut the mustard. I mean, Jimmy would be way better than Darnold, and that's saying something.
No doubt. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold has played in the NFL, and he showed you what he can do. Now, could he do a lot better with maybe this stack type of a roster? That's to be continued. Like, we'll never know. We're hoping that he can. But again, it's Brock's team.
Okay. Well, let's put it like this. How many interceptions did Trey Lance throw yesterday?
Let's go with 0.
How many did Darnold throw?
0.
He threw, I think, a couple.
Not in the game. I thought Darnold didn't have any interception. Brendan Allen did have the interception. It was the pass that went through Ronnie Bell's hand. I don't know if you remember that. And then it got picked off, and that's how the Raiders ended up getting some points. So the only quarterback that had an interception was Brandon Allen. Now, I don't remember if Sam Darnold had some could have been interceptions, but I do know Trey Lance had 2 could have been. They were dropped.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes, but this is Trey's position to lose. I think he could be way better than our quarterbacks. Everybody's slamming him. He's got a promise, and I think he could do a whole lot better than any other one. He's just going to have to hold his head up, keep practicing and waiting, and just wait for that call, because it will come.
That's it.
It's going to come.
That's the message right there. It's when the opportunity comes, he has to take advantage of the opportunity. That's the message.
Take it and run and never let it go.
And never look back. I love this. I love that. Thank you for calling in. This is your first time calling in, isn't it?
No, my second. My last time was the Super Bowl, and we got. I was kind of heated about that one.
That's so far ago. You know why I'm still heated about that? Because as I'm sitting on my couch and I'm watching the game, I get a tweet from somebody and says, "Y'all got this in the bag." And I said, "Motherfucker, don't you ever send me this tweet ever." And we lost the game. I think I'll follow that person.
Well, to make the situation worse, I have a family full of Chief fans. So
I'm sorry.
And Cowboy fans. So yeah.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm the only Niner fan that is in the family that exists. So
well, then you're the best family member that exists. How about that?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's all. You're all that matters in my eyes.
So no matter how this Saturday night goes and how this preseason goes, I'd rather have us have a lot of chokes in the game in the preseason and just ball out in the season.
There it is. Get the stuff out. Get the nooks and crannies out right now. And then when the season hits, hit that junk going. Hit the ground running. Listen, diehard 49ers for life. I appreciate you for calling in, man.
All right. You all have a nice night and bang, bang, Niner gang.
Let's go. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Faithful to the Bay. I gotta always put that at the end of something, yo. Faithful to the Bay. Yes. We're so bright that we're shining. All right, check this out, man. The phone segment was too legit to quit. That junk was fire. Started off with Terror Dome, ended up with my man Die Hard Niners for life. You guys are amazing. I got some super chats I want to get to. I don't want to overlook those. I do apologize if I have, but I'm going to get to them right now. Deshaun DeVoe, I got to ask. I don't see too many people with the last name DeVoe. You related to my man? You related to DeVoe, Ronnie? Bobby, Ricky, you related? If not, it's cool. Just thought I asked. We was on a 5-game winning streak. I think earlier I said that we were kind of teetering with Jimmy. I don't remember us being on a 5-game winning streak because I remember we lost the first game, then we won the second game, then we lost the third game. Did we have 5 straight with Jimmy? Nah. I don't know. Maybe you're right. If you're right, you're right. But thank you for the super chat contribution, man. I appreciate that. Foghorn for all the super chat contributions that we have going on. All right. My man Bam Bam says Jason Poe and Nick Zakel went to Mercer and Fordham College. Let that sink in. Do we need a moment to let that sink in? But I know where you're coming from. Like that is 100%. You just got to let it sink in, man. Because we were talking about kids going to, I think Terradon was talking about kids going to Power 5 schools. And I mean, Trey Lance went to North Dakota State. You got to kind of let that sink in too. If the schools matter, which I think they do. I think the programs matter. 49ers Ultimate Reports, my guy, says, as a content creator, I've been on the O-line needs to be a priority for 3 years. I think you've been on the O-line needs to be a priority for a minute past the 3 years. You've been saying we needed to address it. Unfortunately, guys, addressing the offensive line isn't as easy as we think, right? Because if you're paying one, you're hoping to develop guys that you already have, and you're hoping to draft. And I just don't feel like that the 49ers have the draft capital to draft a prominent stud like in the first round from the offensive line. And I think that's kind of what they need to get back to, especially with Trent Williams, just getting a little bit up there in age. But they're going to have to the best offensive linemen go early. And it doesn't mean you can't find gems later in the first round or second round. I'm not saying that, but you want that sure, you want that sure thing. Trent Williams was a sure thing. Like if you're going to draft. So I think they try to address it. I just think they're hoping that in-house it shapes up to be, something great when you have this big anchor that's the best in the game, and you're just hoping it can pull the weight and help, make the other players a little bit better. But we haven't seen, this is the disclaimer, right? We haven't seen the first team's offensive line in a game. So is the depth an issue? Yes. But they're not all, they're not all going to come in the game at the same time. Does that make sense? Like, it's not like you're going to get Poe, Zakel, Ishmael, who are you're not going to get them all entering the game at the same time. And I think for me, that's kind of like the depth is an issue together as a whole. But if one of those guys' numbers was called, they might be able to fill in for a game or two or three, So the depth as a whole is a problem. Clarence Molina says, Trey's body hasn't caught up with his mind and thoughts. It's a good synopsis, right? Like, is it possible that he's still young-minded, even though his body is ready to take on the game? Like he still has to develop here. So there's a lot. Not an excuse, because every time I say something about Trey Lance is an excuse. It's not an excuse, but this could be a possibility. I'll leave it at that. It's a possibility that could be it. And then Bam Bam with another super chat contribution. We were talking about quarterbacks. This is Gardner Minshew is another one that comes to mind. And Nick Foles. I think Nick Foles is another one that comes to mind. These are guys that just come to mind when you're thinking about these quarterback situations, Look, when to sum everything all up, will Trey Lance, get another chance with the Niners? I mean, that's typically the question. And it just doesn't seem like right now he's priority. Will he get the chance? I'm going to go with yes. Lance will get a chance. That's that opportunity that we were talking about. But it's going to come to an expense. So it's going to come to something detrimental happening for him to get that chance. Is he going to go out there, win, and take the position? Absolutely not. So at the end of the day, I think Trey Lance will get a chance. And like the caller just said, he has to take advantage of those opportunities. But here, Trey Lance, you got to go out there and whatever you did on that football field, leave it there. Come back. The whole team, too. The whole team needs to reevaluate. Come back and get better. And I think if you can see improvements from week 1 to week 2, and you see progression rather than regression, like at that point, you can say, okay, there's something here. Like the kid is learning, the coach is learning, the players are learning, they're building continuity. There's so many ways to look at it, from a brighter perspective. But it was like a massacre watching that team play. Just didn't think the team was there energetic wise against the Raiders, man. Great show, everybody. We'll be back Wednesday on the Wayne Breezie show, same time, 1 p.m. And then Friday. Friday's going to be at a different time. I will say that. And I may have John on Wednesday. I have to check his schedule. Friday, I have to do some stuff outside of content creating. But I do look to go live at some point on Friday. You guys are the best community that a person can ask for. And I just appreciate whether you're a member of the Breezy's Bunch crew, whether you're just a subscriber to the channel, whether you're new and just strolling in on your break. I appreciate you 100%. Listen, man, y'all got to stay up. Look, a lot of stuff is going down, but this is what Faithful is all about. We got to find a way to stay strong. Promise me, we're going to get through this together. That's why I'm here. I'm what did you call me? The 4-9 preacher. I got you, man. We're going to get through this together. Everything is a lesson. Let's take this game or this loss as a lesson learned. Let's go out there and put our best foot on the table against these Denver Broncos coming up this Saturday. Love y'all. Stay up. Stay faithful. Don't forget, keep it nitty gritty, baby.
I be sipping gold bar, whiskey on the rocks, and a 24 karat gold on a watch. My 7-1 Chevy be tipping non-stop, sounding like Trent Williams on the block. So you know we can't stop, we be banging through your speakers. Wayne Breezie on the field or in the bleachers. You can tune into my show and I'm a teacher. Wayne Breezie, the 4-9 preacher.